This week on the Austin Healey channel, the engine starts going back together. So I needed to pull the engine mounts off so I can get to parts of the engine to clean it before I can paint them up. So I have the engine floating over there, and the engine mounts here. I'm going to take them apart, sandblast them. I have new rubbers for them. You can see it has the original metallic green paint on it, which is cool. So let's pull them apart and blast them. It's good to note that this bolt is stuck in there on both sides, so when it goes back together, that has to go back in there. Yesterday I spent all day cleaning and painting the block part of the engine. I also added the engine mounts and the oil filter part. So today I'm able to put it back onto the engine test stand, and then I'll be able to put the head on. Before I put the head on, I wanted to show you this. Not all BN1s have timing marks. This one has a hole in the top of the main pulley, which means when it's straight up and down, the first piston is in top dead center. So we're ready to put the head back on, and before we do that, we need to make sure everything's clean, nothing's fallen down into the pistons, and that the surface is just absolutely as clean as you can get it. I've replaced this stud with the new one. There was a question whether I was going to replace them all or not, seeing how this one was pretty mangled up. I looked at them all. They look nice and straight. They don't appear to be stretched at all, so I decided to leave the original ones in there and just replace the one. There's a funny pattern you follow when you tighten down the head bolts, and this is to evenly spread out the pressure as it tightens down. So you start off here at number 1, and you go down to number 2, up to number 3, over to number 4, up to number 5, over to number 6, up to number 7, over to number 8, up to number 9, come way over here to number 10, and then jump back over here to number 11. So before we start torquing them, we're just going to tighten them down. We're not going to torque them all up to the spec at the same time. We're going to ease up to it. So I got it set about 35 pounds. When they're torqued, they go up to between 65 and 70. Okay, now we're going to fully torque them up to I have it set at like 67. That's in between, right? There we go, nice and torqued. Fresh out of the oven, we have the push rods. Those go in next. When attaching this, you're supposed to be very careful. I've heard it's very easy to cross-thread it, but it seems to have gone on very well. So I have this old set of spark plugs that I took out of the Season 1 car after I painted it. They're good to keep around. They make really excellent masking for spark plug holes, you know, being spark plugs and all. Just a quick tip. Managed to get the oil pan off, finally, only to find some weird stuff. There were these, I don't know if it's 2 pins or 1 pin that's been bent up, and I'm also not sure if it's a cotter pin or one of the valve guide clips, but it had all the valve guide clips in it. Just weird. Anyway, it was sitting at the bottom of the oil pan. So I'm going to inspect the bottom end of the engine, make sure there's no damage. As far as sludge, it's not too bad in the bottom, which is good. There's a little bit of water, which I suspect came in from when I sandblasted, so I'm not concerned about that. There's some points where there's oil on the outside of the gasket. I don't know if it was leaking or not, but it's getting a new one anyway. So we'll scrape that off. Clean it up. Alright, well, you're down below, and I've found where the pin was, or used to be, the cotter pin that I found in the oil pan. Number 2, right here, yes, number 2, is missing its pin, so I guess it came loose, fell out, broke, decided to leave the party, but it looks like it just fell straight down, and the oil sump did its job by not sucking it up, throwing it around the engine. Looking at other things in there, everything looks pretty good. I'm impressed, you know, for it being so old. So with the oil pan all cleaned up and painted, looking lovely, it's time to put it back on. So we're going to use more blue stuff, a new gasket. I find the hard part is always holding this up there while you put on the first couple bolts. So I've got some spring clamps that are going to help hold it in place.
If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to tell you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Thanks for watching, and your support is very much appreciated.